Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our little map skills vocab presentation. Now, before we get more in depth into geography and how it connects land and people and all of the more in depth stuff with geography, we're going to start with maps, kind of like it's the most surface level understanding of geography. So, we're going to do that with some vocabulary words. And you'll see the words on screen, and I just want you to, just as I said in the instructions, write down those keywords, and you'll draw a little picture to represent it, as well as writing the definition in your own words and using in a sentence. Okay, so let's get started with our map skills vocab. These are words that are going to come up throughout the year, so it's good to just have a good understanding of them because we'll hear them a lot. So, 7 continents. The world is made up of 7 continents. Now, some people might say 5, some people might say 4 even, but in English-speaking countries, we learn that 7 is the number of continents. So pause the video, see if you can name each continent. Okay, so now you've unpaused it. Let's look at the continents. We've got North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and of course Antarctica, right? So 7 continents. Make sure you're familiar with those, as well as the oceans as well. You don't have to write the oceans right now in your notes. I didn't include that, but the main continents, 7 of them. All right, now we have here our maps and our globes. Now, maps are simply just a 2-dimensional representation of the Earth's surface. That's your definition for that. There's all sorts of different maps. You can focus on different parts of the world. Maps can give you different information. This one is a political map. It shows each different country, but you can have maps that show you the physical landscape, maps that show you the climate, all of that good stuff. Now you have on this side, you have a globe, which of course is a much better representation of the shape and the size of the Earth's countries and continents, right? On a map is simply taking a globe and cutting it open and laying it flat on the surface of a table, which kind of distorts the size. So for example, Greenland looks enormous when it's close to the top of the map, but if you were to actually look at Greenland on a globe, it's much actually smaller than that. So keep in mind that maps, the shape of countries is very accurate, but the size is not so much accurate. Whereas a globe, size and shape are very accurate. So you can write map and globe as part of your 2 vocab words. Now, here we have a map, and you can see it's a grid, right? So you see lines going this way vertically, and you see lines going horizontally. Now, we use this in fact, pause the video and try to decide, what do you call these horizontal lines and what do you call these vertical lines and what do you call this big red horizontal line and this big red vertical line? Pause and see if you can guess. Okay, welcome back. So you should have noticed that these horizontal lines are called latitude lines. They move around the Earth. These vertical lines here are called longitude lines, okay? And this big red line down the center, this big red horizontal line is the equator, and it divides the Earth in half horizontally. And here in the middle of the map, you see this long red line here. This is called the prime meridian. Prime meridian is at 0 degrees. The equator is also at 0 degrees. And we're going to talk more about lines of latitude and longitude later. This is just a quick sample. But you'll notice that each of these lines, the purpose of these lines is to give us location, right? So I know that if somebody tells me that New Orleans is located at 90 degrees west, you follow this line, and 30 degrees north, I can pinpoint that location, perfectly. So the purpose of the latitude and longitude is for us humans to understand how to locate things, okay? And I'll get into the degrees next week as well. We'll go deeper into actually how to locate places on the map with these lines of latitude and longitude. Now, one helpful way to remember that latitude means horizontal or flat like this is fatitude. So you have, imagine a big fat belly goes around, just like latitude. Fat, latitude, fatitude. It goes around horizontally. With longitude, I think of a long hair flowing from top to bottom vertically. Longitude equals long hair-itude. So a couple helpful ways to help you remember that. Hemispheres. There are 4 hemispheres. Now, what is a hemisphere? Hemisphere is simply a way that we as people divide the earth to help us understand it more, right? To help us describe the earth more. We have 4 hemispheres. Can you guess what these 2 hemispheres and these 2 hemispheres are called? Pause the video and take a guess. Okay. On the left, we have the northern hemisphere, which is the northern half of the earth. And at the bottom, you have the southern hemisphere, and it's divided, like we talked about earlier, that line of latitude called the equator. It's divided right in half, like a knife cut right through the earth into the northern and southern hemisphere. Okay, on this side, remember what that line of longitude, that main line of longitude was called? It was called the prime meridian, and it divides the earth vertically into 2 halves called the western hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere on this side. Okay, so there are 4 hemispheres. They are divisions of the planet. Now let's get into reading a map. We're going to be looking at a lot of maps every time we study a civilization, whether it's Egypt or Israel or Greece or Rome. We're looking at maps and different ways we read those maps. Maps have very common characteristics. You have, actually, before I explain, I'm going to pause the video and I want you to guess what number 1 corresponds to, what is number 2, what is number 3, what vocabulary goes with these, number 4, what vocabulary describes this box right here, number 5, what vocab describes this, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Just pause your video and take a guess. Okay, welcome back. Looking at number 1, most maps have a title. So title is going to give you information about the map. In this case, this is telling us this is the annual rainfall in Australia. How much rainfall Australia gets every year. Okay, number 2 is the compass rose. Compass rose is giving us our directions north, south, east, west, and also the directions northeast, which is diagonal, southeast, which is that way, southwest, which is this way, and northwest. Okay, so this is your compass rose. It helps us understand and orient ourselves, understand directions on a map. Okay, number 3, we have symbols. So these right here, these are your symbols. A star with a circle around it is a symbol for the national capital. And this just plain dot means it's another city. So if we go down here and we see that this symbol is the national capital, Canberra, we know that Canberra is the national capital of Australia. The black dots mean other cities. So we have Brisbane up here as a city, Sydney as a city, Melbourne. I lived in Melbourne for 5 months, actually. Melbourne's a wonderful city. Adelaide, Perth. Okay. Number 4. What is number 4? This is called our legend or key. Okay, so a legend or a key basically describes, it contains the colors and symbols and their meaning. So it's a little box that contains the colors or symbols or representations of things. In this case, this legend is talking about the rainfall in inches. And this legend includes different colors here. Blue representing 40 inches of rainfall each year. Light blue representing 20 to 40. Green representing 10 to 20. yellow representing under 10. So we know that under 10 is very little rainfall. This yellow refers to this color right here. So we know the center of Australia does not get very much rainfall each year. What are the wettest regions of the country? Well, that would be the dark blue. They get over 100 centimeters each year. So that would be the edges up here, close to the edge of the country. Okay, so you have your legend here, which describes, it's the box that describes the symbols and colors. Number 5, lines of longitude. We already looked at those. Here's a line of longitude here, and here, and here, and here. And you can see their degrees, which is their measurement. So it goes by 10, 10, and 10. And again, we're going to go through those in the future in a couple days. Number 6 are the lines of latitude, fatitude. Remember, these are the lines that go horizontally, and they help us locate positions on the Earth, like GPS. If you've ever heard of GPS, you get the coordinates from GPS. 7 is the scale. Okay, so the scale tells us from this point, let's start from 0 here, right? So this is the measurement of distance, right? The scale gives us a measurement in distance, saying that this little blue bar right here equals 500 kilometers. So if from here to here equals roughly 500 kilometers, right? And then from here to here is another 500, and another 500, and another 500. So using this key, we can tell the distance between one location and another. So in kilometers, this is probably 1,000, 2,000, probably a little over 2,000 kilometers from Perth to Adelaide. And I can find that using the scale. Okay. Number 8 is labels. Labels are simply the names of the countries, the names of the cities that you see on the map. And last but not least, colors. Number 9, where are the colors right here? Right, 9. We already talked about colors. Colors in this case are just representing rainfall in inches, but colors can represent many different things on a map. They can represent how tall or how high mountains are, how high the land is. They can give us many different bits of information. All right, guys, those are the basics. So make sure you include your definition in your own words. You draw a little picture to represent that word and use the word in a sentence. And you're going to do that on your notes, and you'll take a picture and attach it to the Google Doc. All of those instructions are included.